right, it's 11 minutes past 10 Central Africa time. We started off with some visual arts and now we're going into fashion. It's definitely one of my favorite things to talk about because, girls gotta look good. And the rise of African fashion has really been driven by a combination of factors like, the resurgence of cultural increased global recognition and also the power of digital platforms. So today we're delving deeper into the world of fashion.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this one. We've got Mpumelelo Dlamini who's joining us in studio, and we are going to be speaking a little bit about this wonderful adventure called Ezokhetho, which is a wonderful line which has really showed the power of storytelling, and also that African signature is still relevant today. And Mpumelelo is with us in studio. Welcome. Thanks for joining us here on Channel Africa.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're also excited to have you here. Let's talk a little bit about how you got into fashion. It feels like it's a daunting thing to do as an African. Anything that's like creative is like, no, don't go in that direction. Africans do finance. This is only where you are successful if you do all these serious administrative jobs. But you said, no, I'm going into this.
Yeah, I've always been a creative being.
Sure.
Growing up, I used to be surrounded by, there's a lot of women
Sure.
in my family. So growing up around them and just inheriting that creative bone from cooking to fashion to music also. So it's just a lover. I'm just a lover of anything creative.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I remember convincing my parents that yes, I'm good at IT, yes, I'm good at this, but listen, I need to express myself. And I found myself in the world of fashion. Studied fashion for 3 years, did music for 2, went back to fashion. My mom was like, if you're going to do fashion, you're getting the degree.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Sure.
Let's speak about that convincing, because many of us, if we're trying to go into like something creative, there needs to be some convincing our African parents to let us do something like that. So, other than convincing them, were you convinced with trying to go into this line?
So from a young age, it's something that I've always sort of embodied, is that put me anywhere and I'll thrive. And even as a child growing up, my parents knew that if I put my head into something, I would succeed in it. So convincing them was exactly that. I told them that just let me be in this and let me dive into it, and you'll see, because they've seen patterns, they saw how I would perform at school.
Nice.
Didn't love school, but I performed really well because I needed to be out of there as soon as I could. But that's how I managed to convince them to say, listen, I'm going to make this work.
Yeah.
And I did.
And channeling that creative energy is something that you probably have to experiment a few things before you kind of zone into something. Did you immediately get into fashion, or was it kind of trying different creative things until you kind of settled into fashion? Because you also spoke about your interest in music.
It was a bit of a trial and error, but when I looked back at my childhood, also going back, I really enjoyed playing with Barbie dolls also, and it was more of coordinating the fashion.
Yes.
And then I used to enjoy spy movies, because they would always get into this character every time they go undercover and so forth. And from then on, I think I also had a sketchbook.
Nice.
Where I used to doodle a lot, and it didn't click up until I was in matric, and I needed to decide what I wanted to do. It was either music didn't really have a lot, and I remember my family wanted me to get into IT because I was good at computers.
Sure.
And I was like, I just need something creative. And my aunt found a poster inside Elle magazine about varsity fashion school.
Great.
And I went for an interview. I was still in matric, went for an interview, and then I was taken. I was immediately accepted. And
nice.
That's how it started.
It's beautiful.
So you did say that, your mom said, if you're going to do this, you have to get your degree. And that's exactly what you did, right? You got your degree in fashion. But after that, a lot of the times, once you have that piece of paper, it can be hard to know or understand how you're actually going to channel that into the real world. Like, how am I going to make this something that is my own? So speak to me about that process. You're done, you've got your piece of paper, you've made your parents proud, but now you actually have to put this in practice.
It was actually quite a tricky one. So I had to, after getting the piece of paper, I did an interview for a design program that was being done by Edcon at that time. And I got accepted into it. And in that program, I immediately understood that I have to now get the degree of real life, like practicality.
Yes.
Because what I learned in varsity, yes, it's the basics, but now when we go into real life, going to retail and understanding the psychology of the people that you actually catering to, I had to relearn, and I had to sort of open up my mind to say, okay, I'm going to relearn, and then from then on, I sort of carved my path into understanding that I don't want to work in fashion per se in terms of retail. I want to start my own business because I've always dreamt of telling our stories through fabric.
And that's the one thing that I was speaking to Pali about, the fact that retail is a different ball game on the African continent because we don't necessarily have access to our own designs, our own designers. It's almost like you have, even if you have an African print, it's almost shaped within that Western islands. So actually creating your own business was saying, I want to be independent. How important was that independence of expression for you?
It was because what I figured out when I was interning for and sort of worked for Edcon for those few years is that we sort of boxed into this Western world, and it limits our creativity so much that you are just clocking in the hours and you're in and out. So the decision of me moving into my own storytelling platform and creating my own platform was exactly inspired by that I wanted to sort of dive in deep and tell our stories from an authentic place, things that affect our day-to-day, how we grieve, how we celebrate, how we do things. And it's exactly that, and it's allowing me to also express myself. I recently lost my mom, and
condolences.
Thank you. And I expressed myself through that, and people around can relate because how we grieve is sort of similar, and how we heal, how we, so those are the things that are actually telling our stories, because once they're documented, then it's history. We don't have much that is archived in terms of African fashion, and that's exactly what we're trying to achieve, so that years from now generations can look back to say, oh, this is us, this is how we tell stories. So we'll talk about that. We would love to speak about how to tell stories through fabric, through color, through texture, and of course
you did that so well,
and of course that's what we're going to delve deeper into. We're speaking to Mpumelelo, also known as Lele Dlamini, the founder of Ezokhetho, and so we're going into the world of fashion. This is On the Move.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move. Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter?
Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard?
Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126.
And we will call you back.
So you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So that's who I am,
It's not just talk, it's your chance to air your views.
Share your opinion.
Engage with a community that values your perspective.
Follow us on our social media.
Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za
and get ready to share your views
on Channel Africa,
the African perspective.
Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
We're really enjoying this one. We're speaking about fashion, and we're joined in studio by Mpumelelo Dlamini, the founder of fashion brand Ezokhetho. Of course,
you're
you can
wearing
catch it.
Ezokhetho
I
as
am
well,
wearing
yeah.
some Ezokhetho today, and
Yeah.
it feels so good. It
Yeah,
feels
it
fabulous.
looks really like light,
Yeah.
very brightly colored, very distinctly unique.
Color, texture, very unique, and the experience
Yeah.
itself in creating an item is just a really beautiful experience
Yeah.
too. So I'll speak about that a little bit later
Okay, sure.
on. The experience of actually getting an item from Ezokhetho, like I have and stuff. So if you want to see this interview, if you want to see the piece that I'm wearing today as well, catch our live stream. We are live on Facebook. That is Channel Africa. We're also live on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. You spoke a little bit more about wanting to really express the storytelling nature of who we are and who you are as an African person. I think it really starts with the name of your brand, Ezokhetho. Tell us about the name.
The name was actually also quite the journey, because
Yeah.
after I completed the year, when I decided to finish off my qualification, I registered a name, and it was contested in terms of patents and so forth, and it was a back and forth. And then I sat down with my mom and I was like, listen, I feel like this isn't the right name that I need to be using. And I was like, I need an African name, more especially a Zulu name, because we're Zulu. And I wanted something like that expresses who we are, the chosen. And we came up with 5 names, and one of them my mom came up with was Ezokhetho. And I was like, that's it.
Yes.
And that's how it came about.
So she really does live through and through your brand, your mother.
Yes,
And,
yes.
what sort of inspiration? Because you make clothes for women in particular. And that shows that, there is, I guess the woman, the figure of the woman, but also the traditional aspects of it, the color. Does it inspire is your mom part of the inspiration of your creative process?
Yes. All of the women in my family, actually, my aunts, because they
Yes.
raised me. So they grew up quite independent. They were workers, and they worked in their fields. They dominated in their fields. And I wanted to sort of do power dressing, but from a feminine perspective.
Yes.
Hence the broad shoulder suits,
Yes.
the flared pants, sort of making a statement, but in a feminine way, so that when a woman walks into a boardroom, she doesn't have to put on a suit to be taken seriously, but she can be who she is, because what she's wearing is a quarter of what she can bring to the table. Her mind is what she brings to the table.
Sure.
I'm here to work, not to be, taken unseriously.
Sure.
It's sort of from that perspective. It's sort of balancing the scales also.
The balancing the scales is a big question for me, because there is a flamboyance to this, and there is kind of a drama in your design and a largeness of personality. I love the fact that you use these soft fabrics, but your patterning is also bold in itself. So it's not understated. Not at all.
No, we don't want to be. That's what we try not to do. We want
Sure.
to show that, the power in femininity.
Sure.
There's so much power, and it's beautiful,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be hidden.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's speak about your prints. It's one of the things that I love about your clothing is like this beautiful, bold prints, different kinds of prints. There's one that's quite an intriguing print, the print of the chicken foot on some of your clothing items, which is really
nice.
pretty. I think it's unexpected, but it really works. So when you think about these prints and you come up with them and what belongs on the clothing items of Ezokhetho, how do you do that?
So how the chicken foot came about, I think we were in a period where everyone was now trying to find this deep story, this, oh my God, I went through the trenches.
Yeah.
And I just wanted something with a bit of humor. And I was like, chicken feet, amautwana, it's
Yes.
a cross-cultural element.
Yeah, it really is.
Amautwana, walkie-talkie, So I wanted something with humor, and then I collaborated with an artist by the name of Alexandra Foslow, good friend of mine. And I was like, listen, I need a sketch, an illustration of a chicken foot.
Yeah.
Please don't think I'm crazy. And he was like, no, definitely, let's do it. And I was like, and to top it off, can it have red nail polish? And then he was like, yay, let's go for it. And we did. He illustrated it for me. We digitized it, and then it was part of our prints.
Oh, wonderful. Let's come back to that conversation of accessibility, right? And what you've done is you've actually put your own way of making your art pieces out there, because I think your dresses and your fashion is art in itself, because it's so unique. But how do you put it out there? Because I see that you've worked with big brands, you've been on Netflix, you've been on Vogue International, also some local fashion brands. How do you get the word out there about this wonderful artistry?
So running your own brand is actually such a learning curve.
Yeah.
And I used to hear the term, it's 90% business, 10% creativity. And
Sure.
it's exactly that.
Wow.
And it's just a matter of networking. I was fortunate that when I was starting out with this the EdCon program that was happening,
Yeah.
I met some of the industry sort of players
Yes.
who I then latched onto. I didn't even win that competition, by the way, but I knew that my goal isn't to exactly win, but it's to foster long-lasting relationships.
Great.
And I took on mentors that I was like, listen, I need I want to do this.
Yes.
Sure.
This needs to happen. And they mentored me, and stylists started sourcing clothes. We started dressing personalities.
Wow.
And from then on, it just skyrocketed and accelerated, also by God's grace. I think the prints also, they spoke for themselves.
Sure.
And what
Yeah.
we stood for, and all of those elements sort of played a role in terms of us getting the word out there. And we're still growing. I'm just excited to see how the brand is growing. We recently did Bloom, which the reception was so beautiful. I didn't even know that the brand was known like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And straight after we did Cape Town, which was also quite beautiful. So
Wonderful.
people are very receptive, and they're watching. You might not see a million likes on Instagram, but
Sure.
people are definitely watching, and they're following, and they're definitely supporting, and I'm grateful for that.
That's beautiful.
Well, thank you so much for coming to hang out with us.
Thank you
This has
so
really been
much.
incredible. Just to find out the story behind the brand is incredible, because I think it gives us that backdrop of why this is, how these prints, these colors come about. And when you wear something, it's good to know sometimes what the story of that brand is. But yeah, tell us more about where we can go to find out about Ezokhetho, where we find the clothes, but also where we can follow you on the social media platforms.
On social media platforms, it's Ezokhetho on X, Instagram, TikTok, and then on Facebook it's Ezokhetho Official. We're also on LinkedIn at Ezokhetho, and then our website is ezokhetho.com. You can always pop us an email if you want to inquire about anything at info@ezokhetho.com.
Yeah.
We are based at Victoria Yards. Our clothes can also be found at Africa Rise in Sandton. We also have an online store. But anything you need, you're always welcome to inquire.
All right, just for you out there, Ezokhetho is spelled Ezokhetho. Ezokhetho.
Yeah, man. That's how we wrap it up. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank
It's
you
been wonderful.
so much for having me.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It's 10:30.